All right, Dottie, let's go. Well, this is definitely the coldest morning that we've had so far in Pahrump. It's in the 40s. So I'm bundled up pretty good. And Dottie and I are going out for a walk. And I wanted to talk to you about something that I think is, that I haven't really covered the way I should have in past videos on Quartzsite. And if you're one of those that are thinking of coming out, especially if you're thinking of coming out this year in boondocking in the desert, whether it's the 14-day BLM land or the long-term visitor areas, there's something that you need to know about that I've mentioned, but I want to mention it in more detail than I have in past videos. As you see pictures of rigs camped out in the desert, and you'll see lots of pictures, and I'll put one up here. It appears as though everything is perfectly flat, and you just turn off the road and you drive out into the desert and you just park. And that's not really true, because there's something that you don't see when you're looking out over that vista of rigs that can become very critical. And that is, and you'll hear this quite a bit, this term called washes. And a wash in the desert resembles what you think of when you think of a dry creek bed or a dry river bed. These are conduits for water that comes down through the mountains. And when you're out there in the winter, unless there's a big rainstorm, they're going to be completely dry. But they're going to run all over the desert. And often, to get to a campsite that you want, you will need to cross one or more of these. And one of the things that you'll notice when you get out there is that Dottie's sniffing. Oh, Dottie is doing her business. So one of the things that you will notice is there appear to be roadways out there. And what I mean by that, there are tracks that are well worn in that look like just dirt roads. And they're not established and made other than by repeated traffic over the years has cut these roadways in all different directions all over the desert, this part of the desert. And some of these roadways go through washes. They cross the washes. And what I really am stressing is, depending on the size and configuration of what you're driving, you want to be very careful about where you decide to cross a wash. Just because it looks like one of these roadways goes through the wash, it does not mean that it is safe for your rig to do so. A four-wheel drive pickup truck can go through some pretty severe inclines and inclines going over a wash. But if you're towing a trailer, or you have a Class C or a Class A or a van, it could appear, because there's a well-worn road and it says, well, I must be able to get through this, and you can get wedged in there and not be able to get out without a tow. which will, having a tow truck come out into the desert and find you and pull you out, will cost a lot of money. So let me give you an example, a personal example of sometimes what it takes to get to your campsite. I have a campsite that I use pretty much every year, at least the general area. And it's in La Posa South, the long-term visitor area, the busiest one. And as the crow flies from the entrance to the LTVA, the main road, the entrance right at 95, as the crow flies where I camp is probably less than a quarter of a mile away. But I cannot drive straight there because there's a big wash, and there are crosses to that wash that are close by that would be in line maybe with how the crow flies, but there is no chance I could get through them towing my trailer. Therefore, every year, to get my trailer into the campsite I have to drive down the main road a mile. Then I cut over, and there is a crossing that my trailer can easily make it over. I take it over that, and then I backtrack parallel to the wash, going back the way I came to get to my campsite another mile. So what did I just say? To safely get to my campsite because of the washes, I have to travel 2 miles to get to a campsite that's a quarter of a mile away from the road. So that should give you ample warning about that potential hazard. And I was a little disappointed when I thought about it that although I mentioned this briefly, I didn't. There is a dog this is where Dottie puts on the brakes. You see how her paws are angled? She is like, I'm not walking, I'm sniffing here. That's all there is to it. Look at this. I'm pulling pretty hard and she's like, nope. Do you see her legs bracing? She's not going anywhere. So we'll let her sniff a little bit. Can we go now, Dottie? Okay, so she's gonna mark there. All right, now she'll go. So hopefully this video will make up for my lack of explaining this in detail. The last thing I want to have happen is me encouraging people to come out to Quartzsite and participate in the wonderful thing that I participate in every year and be blindsided by something like, oh my God, how do I cross this thing? What do I do? And God forbid someone should come out and get their rig stuck and get maybe the worst case is you get damage to the rig and you have to get it towed out. I would feel awful. So hopefully I'll construct a thumbnail and a title here that will really attract new people to boondocking and Quartzsite to understand what this is like. Once you understand it and you know what to do, it's fine. And incidentally, if you're thinking, whoa, that means you have to do that 2 miles every time you go into town? No, because I unhitch from the trailer and then I have my truck, and there's a right next to that direct line back to the main entrance. I can get through a very deep wash with just my truck. where I wouldn't pull it through with my trailer, but I certainly can with my truck, and that works just fine. So in and out all season long. It's easy, and you know, that same deep wash, I've seen people go through it with a little car. So it's, if you're towing something or you have a rig that has a long wheelbase, then you're really restricted. If you have a big Class A or Class C and you don't have like a tow vehicle and you need to go into town frequently, then I suggest that you find a place that isn't like where I go, where you have to go way out of your way to go through washes. There are plenty of places to camp where you don't have to go through any washes. But it's, unless you really know the layout, you don't know which is which. So if you have any questions, please put them in the comments, and I will answer them as best I can. And if I can't, I have viewers that'll jump in and take care of that. So it's, my hands are cold. So definitely it's in the 40s. Come on, Dot. I don't know if you could hear that engine that was behind me, but you know, someone rolling in a vehicle behind you while you're walking with a rumbling engine is a bit, it can be a little unnerving. So they turn the other way. It is early. Oh, I don't have my watch on, but it's definitely, like, I'm gonna say by the sun there, about 7:30. And I think, is it this week coming up, we have the time change, or we fall back? And this would be, next week, this will be 6:30 when the sun's like that. And let's see, there's just over 2 weeks, I will be back in Quartzsite, and I'll be giving you real-time, real Quartzsite videos. Hopefully the election will be over and we'll be on to other things in the news. But I don't know, what are the chances of that? There'll probably be turmoil for a while until I guess all the votes are certified and everything's put to bed. I see a little bit of snow up on one of the peaks. Yeah, you probably can't see it. I don't know if that's white rock or if that's a little bit of snow. It could be. I don't think it's snow because there was no precipitation. So that's not snow. It's just light colored rock. But I'm sure up on top of these mountains, it's well below freezing. And if there was any precipitation, it would be snow. No doubt in my mind about that. One of the things I love about the desert is how the lighting transforms the place. You know, almost from hour to hour, it transforms the landscape into looking very different depending on the light. as much as I enjoy my home here in Pahrump, I'm ready to move on. I'm ready to not be in an RV park for a while. No matter how nice and pretty a place is, being in a place where people are packed in this closely is less and less comfortable for me after a couple of months. But I'll be over it by spring when I come back here for a couple months. I'll be just excited to get back here, as excited as I am now about getting back to Quartzsite. That's the beauty of living the lifestyle where you get to move from place to place. And as it gets old, you go back to another place and it's new again. That gets old, you go to another place, it's new again, and rinse and repeat. And really, you're free to going back to one place, you don't get that new feeling anymore. Well, you can relocate. You can change that place. There may be a time where I decide to relocate my home base to someplace completely different. That could easily happen. You know, you say, well, Rob, you're talking about, giving that $10,000 to move into the Escapees co-op RV place here in Pahrump. How can you invest in like that and then change your mind? Well, you get the $10,000 back when you leave. So there's really not a huge risk. In any improvements that you make on the lot, permanent improvements, they depreciate it and you get back the depreciated value of what you put in. So I could change my residence to Arizona, maybe New Mexico, Utah, who knows? Or I could stay here. The point for me in this lifestyle as a retired guy is I can choose to move easily from place to place. If you live in a house or an apartment or a townhome or whatever, it's kind of a big deal to move, as we all know. But when everything you own is in a 21-foot trailer and a pickup truck, preparing to move is something that takes about an hour. And then you're moving. Compared to I can remember moves in my life, days and days of packing boxes, and I hated packing. I just hated it. Then having to clean the whole place or pay someone to clean it, and then moving into the new place, and it was exhausting. But with a little trailer, it's an hour to pack up, and once you get through everything, it's probably an hour to set up camp. That's 2 hours of your life. It's not a big deal. So that is, in my definition, that is real freedom. Today is Tuesday. There's Taco Tuesday, 4 to 5:30. I might check that out. But breakfast, you see, is Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, 7:30 to 9:30. And they have reduced the price. I don't know how they did this, but they reduced the price from $8 to $6 for breakfast. Explain to me where you're going to eat out a fresh cooked breakfast for $6. And here we are. I took you on the full walk with me, even though I got my point out, and a lot of people probably dropped out after I got my point out. But I wanted to keep going until I got to the end of the road here, back at my place. And I probably won't be able to socialize with my neighbors because it's going to be windy and cold today, so I doubt people will be sitting outside. We'll have to wait until the next day, Wednesday, when it warms up and people will be outside. It's not so much just the cold, it's the combination of it being windy and cold will keep people from hanging out outside. Right, Dottie? And are you ready, Dottie? Are you ready for your breakfast? I bet you are, aren't you? All right, hang on, let me open the door. Go. There she is. If I don't move fast enough, she'll probably bark. And here's her bowl. And here is the homemade food, vegetables and lean ground beef. There we go. And this afternoon, we have to make a new batch. We have to take this bad boy, this 93% lean ground beef, and cook that up with vegetables. Well, let's get to a spot where there's not a lot of glare, maybe a little light. Here we go. I want to thank you for watching my video, and if you're a new person coming to Quartzsite, I hope this warning about the washes and how to navigate them is a big help to you. Take care. I'm grateful for you. Any person that watches my video, you have my gratitude. Thank you, and I'll see you tomorrow.